All right, let's get some perspective right now from someone who knows the ins and outs of this case, Ray Caputo, who's the lead news anchor of News 96.5 WDBO. He's been following this case. Ray, great to have you here on Law and Crime. As we listen to the defense attorney going through his narrative of what he says is really going on with Markeith Lloyd, is it adding up for you or is it not adding up for you?
Jesse, it's absolutely not adding up. First off, the self-defense argument, I still don't get that. He showed up to a pregnant woman's house. He knew there was a confrontation with a couple of guns. She didn't have a gun on her when he fired and shot her. I don't get that. Also, the press. I'm a member of the press. When Terry Lenneman was talking and he pointed at the press gallery a second ago, I almost felt like he was pointing at me because Monday in court, there was a very chilling moment. I was sitting in the gallery, there was nobody else around me, and Markeith looked over at me and kind of disturbed me a little bit, but then he leaned in and said something to Lenneman, and they both looked over. It was obvious that they had noticed who I was because I was one of those people in the press talking about this case. Having said that, Jesse, I would not change a thing on how I've reported this. There's nothing else that I could have reported or done things differently. So I don't get that argument either.
Yeah, I mean, look, he wanted his day. The first day of court, Markeith Lloyd said there's fake news, and he was not happy with how the media has been reporting this. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, but I want to ask you real quick, him taking the stand and telling his side of the story, what did you think about that? Because it's 2 different days. It was him under direct examination, and then there was him under cross-examination. And if you were believing his story under direct, I'm curious what you thought about what happened yesterday under cross-examination.
Well, Jesse, that's the first time anybody has heard Markeith Lloyd in a coherent way. If you remember, all of his court hearings were colorful, sometimes rambling. So I think it did help his cause. It humanized him. But when you listen to his testimony, it's just a lot of contradictions. I mean, my jaw literally dropped when he was talking about why he didn't eat meat. And he said he didn't believe in killing God's creatures. Now, meanwhile, here's a guy on trial for murdering his pregnant ex-girlfriend and shooting her 8 times, once through the heart. So, there was another moment where he contradicted himself and he was talking about how he'd gotten robbed and how he didn't want to kill the kids who had robbed them because he was trying to track them down, because he said he remembered what it was like when he was young. Now, meanwhile, he's dating a 24-year-old woman, and some of the things that he's talking about, like, getting on her for eating meat and doing things that a 24-year-old woman would do, another contradiction. And then the self-defense thing, I still don't get that. So he humanized himself, Jesse, but at the end of the day, I mean, people can see through his testimony. It's just a lot of it's BS personally.
Well, we're going to have to see what the prosecution says when they have the final word, and we're still breaking down what the defense has been doing. I got to tell you, that when he took the stand, I thought I heard everything, and then he mentioned feces, and that was something that I never thought I was going to hear in an open court, but who knows? I've heard crazier things. Well, this is a different kind of closing, isn't it, Jessica? I mean, he even at one point said, if you find him not guilty, you can go home. What do you think about his style and how he's delivering this right now?
Well, I think that compared to the state, he's very passionate for sure, so that gets your attention because of the passion. And I'll preface what I'm going to say by saying he's doing a great job with what he has and the facts of the case. And I think that it's a common saying by lawyers, if the facts are bad, argue the law of the laws. If the law is bad, then you pull at the heartstrings. And I think that's exactly what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So he's telling the jury, you're the most responsible people here. My client's life depends on you. You're the most powerful people in this room. He attacks the state. Don't believe them. They've misrepresented facts. They've withheld facts. He's now also attacking the witnesses. Don't believe them because that's their family. Mm-hmm. And now he's attacking also the victim. So I think that's with what he has, he's doing a great job. Again, it's a very difficult case. His client is not sympathetic. I really did appreciate that he did touch on the demeanor of his client, because that's a difficult one. So again, I think he did a good job with what he has.
Talking about the facts though, Ray, let's do some fact checking here. Based upon where we last left off and what we've been hearing from Mr. Lenneman, is there anything that he's saying based upon, the way the shooting was carried out or what happened beforehand? Is there anything that's catching your eye that's saying, wait a sec, that's not true? That does not add up to what we've heard so far from the state's case.
I mean, we're hearing a lot of what's already been said in court. So, there's a part of this that I think nobody will ever know, and that's I guess Ronald Stewart and Markeith Lloyd are the only two people that will know. And those are really the only facts in dispute, like the fight in the moments before the shooting. But, I guess like having seen those jurors, the predominantly female jury, some of the things that he's saying, he may be crossing a line a little bit when he's going after the dad, the mom, because, being in court and you see these folks and they're talking about walking out of their front door and seeing their son shot and grimacing and bleeding in pain, and then their daughter dying right next to him. I mean, it's hard not to feel sorry for them. So that's the one thing I'm thinking of is, a little earlier when he was really going in on the dad, the mom, the witnesses. I'm not sure how the jury is going to feel about that. But getting back to your point about Lenneman, I think he is the best, one of the best for this case right here, because he's a death row lawyer, keeping people off death row. He has a really good rapport with Markeith, it seems, in court. And, Markeith wanted to represent himself, so here Lenneman is. And they seem to be, have really good rapport in court. So I guess he's doing a pretty good job.
Well, we're going to have to see what the jury thinks of it. They'll hand down their decision after the closings, and who knows how long that will be. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be live. Stay tuned.